Hey, Verballers, if you haven't joined Stitcher Premium yet, now is the perfect time. It gets you completely ad-free episodes of hundreds of shows like Comedy Bang Bang, WTF with Mark Maron, and Bitch Sesh, a Real Housewives breakdown. You also get 21,000 hours of exclusive content, new exclusive originals like Freedom with hosts Scott Aukerman, Laura Lapkus, and Paul F. Tompkins. They're launching every week for premium members. If you love podcasts, you are missing out. Plus, most importantly, when you listen to ad-free episodes on Stitcher Premium, your favorite podcasters get paid. Help support your favorite shows and join Stitcher Premium today. You can get a free month of listening by going to StitcherPremium.com. Use the promo code VERBAL.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildebrand. Joining me, as always, my good friend over there in New York City, the man Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how's it going?
It's pretty good. The voice is climbing back.
Climbing
Lost it
back
there for a second. Yep. In my journeys to Austin, and had a wedding, and was just Ty, you know me. I talk a lot.
You do. You're
and
a talker.
It finally came back to haunt me, but the voice is making its way back to elite status. So I'm good. How you doing?
Hold on here. Pause.
Yeah.
How did you deal with a lost voice at a wedding?
Poorly.
That is not a good venue to not have a voice at.
No, it was a nice wedding. It was a college friend of Jody with an Eyes, and a really fun wedding at a nice hotel here in New York, and a robust band. We had a big band at our wedding. This was an even bigger band, which is fine. I shouldn't say this, but if this show is about honesty, I do now bring earplugs to weddings.
What?
I do.
What kind?
Not because
the orange ones that you roll up?
they're not the putty ones. They're sort of spongy. I got them from like Rite Aid or something.
Don't tell me they have like the George Seifert strap around them to keep them together.
No.
You don't have that.
No.
Good.
They are not earplug croakies involved, but my hearing is like kind of not great. And so it's not a sign of protest of like these darn kids. It's an actual like, I'd like to be able to hear my grandkids if there still is an Earth in 2063 kind of situation. So
Okay.
I am taking those measures. So yeah, to that wedding, because of my voice, I brought glasses because I have bad eyes, earplugs because I have bad ears, and lozenges because I was losing my voice and screaming basic things at people at the table. Never grow up, everybody.
This is going to be like that Space Cowboys movie here when we're doing the podcast in like 15 years. Two old geezers who can't hear each other. Can't talk, can't hear, nothing.
But instead of motorcycles, we will be driving sensible, Swedish, safety-oriented cars.
No, they'll be driving us, Dan. Get it right.
That's true. Oh, okay, I can do that. We're both in sidecars.
Well, welcome back to the show. I hope that didn't depress everybody, but I'm Ty, he's Dan. You can find us at solidverbal.com. Got a lot of exciting things that are happening. We've got a new website in development, courtesy of our friends over at Superboss. We did announce, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, that we're going to be doing a live show on August the 11th out in Chicago. Yep. We are working and progressing very quickly towards naming a venue for that Fantasy Things draft. We do have some other stuff that we have yet to announce that I think will excite people, not the least of which is what our shirts and other merchandise are going to look like.
Yeah.
When we have a chance to finally unveil that stuff. So a lot of cool stuff happening here in Solid Verbalville. Of course, the best way that you can stay up to date on all of that is to follow us out on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course, sign up for our newsletter, which you can find at solidverbal.com, as well as the Facebook page. The Newsletter of Intent, that is the place to go if you want all of the news about the merchandise and the tickets and anything else. We will send it out there first.
And we swear that even though we're being vague about the live show in Chicago, We promise you it is happening on August 11th. We promise you, if you are anywhere near Chicago or can be near Chicago, that we'd love to see you.
Yes.
We'd love to have you there. There will be friends of the Solid Verbal. There will be family of the Solid Verbal. It is going to be, I can say without hesitation, the biggest and best Solid Verbal live show we will do to date. It is the Fantasy Things Draft, which Ty and I, it is an extraordinary time. We can't wait to do it again this year and get even more ridiculous with it. So we encourage everybody, if you can make it to Chicago on August 11th, we are blowing this thing out. We're very excited.
It's going to be a great show. I am super excited for it. I feel like we've learned a lot from our last 3 shows that we've done. We've done, what, 4, 5 of them now?
Yes.
Actual live get-together type things. And we're well equipped for this one. We're excited. Chicago's been a long time coming, so certainly more information will be coming on that front. We will do our best to give everyone ample notice, but be on high alert. August the 11th is when show's going to go down.
This is correct. This is absolutely happening. I can't wait, Ty. I can't wait. And I also can't wait for today's show, which if you've already downloaded it and paid attention to the title, you know what we're doing, but we're going to say things anyway. Ty, what are we doing today?
So we're not going to be talking about the feats of strength between Mike Leach and a reporter from USA Today, excuse me. We are going to be talking about the coming college football season.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about actual content, Dan. Hashtag content, hashtag blessed to be here this evening. Talking about actual college football content for the 2018 season. True story here. I don't know the origin of this idea, Dan, but I do know that on my phone on June the 1st at 8 a.m., I had an alert go off for this very concept. Don't know where it came from. Don't know if it was you.
I love that.
If it was me, I have to go back and try and investigate, but I had an alert on my phone for the most significant pivotal people for the 2018 season. What does that mean? Well, it can mean of a whole variety of different things, but I think the way that I interpreted it was if we do like a post-mortem on this 2018 season after it's all said and done, and depending on how some things go or don't go, if we look back at the real important storylines, if we get back to the root cause of them all, on some level, we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty here. We're gonna get down to the pivotal people that are behind it all.
I hope you have a pop filter on your microphone for all the times you're saying pivotal.
I do have a pop filter. It's a steel one here.
It's
a very important one. I pop a lot. I'm apologetic for it, but I've done as much as I can to prevent it.
Yeah.
But of course, what I'm saying is like, everybody knows that Tua. Everyone knows that Kelly Bryant. Everyone knows that Trace McSorley, that these guys are going to have a huge role to play in how the 2018 season plays out. There's no denying it. But is Trace McSorley really the most pivotal piece on that Penn State team? Or what about his offensive coordinator, who's taking over for Joe Moorhead, who left for Mississippi State? I think we're going to make a case on this show for some of the less popular names and the roles, the important pivotal roles that they play on their respective teams. That's where we're headed with tonight's show and actually next week's show as well, because we're not going to get a chance to get through all 19 of these items, if I have the number correct.
Yes, you do have the number correct. I've approached this and basically looking at which names won't necessarily be the biggest names. There will be some big names, obviously. But if you think about what potential stories are likely to end up splashed on the front page of your favorite publication or lead off this show or any other podcast you listen to or radio show, TV show, whatever they talk about on game day, whatever is on a rundown, on PTI, around any of these things that in the mainstream and in the specific college football media world, that we are going to say, oh, that's a big deal, or this happened and that's why it's a big deal. And it's not necessarily, as you said, the biggest name, but it's the name affecting those storylines that we can anticipate cropping up along the way.
So why don't we start here, since I already gave away the game on on one of our items. These are in no particular order, by the way, but
number one
pivotal person in the 2018 season, Ricky Ronnie.
Good. I like that start.
Ricky Ronnie, he, of course, is the new offensive coordinator for the Penn State Nittany Lions. He takes over for Joe Moorhead, who took the head coaching job down at Mississippi State. To reiterate what Joe Moorhead did the last two seasons at Penn State, 2016, they averaged 37.6 points per game. Believe it or not, that number went up last season. They averaged 41.1 points per game. Penn State has had a high-powered offense, to say the absolute very least, the last two seasons. Mm-hmm. They still have Trace McSorley, but they lose Saquon Barkley. They also lose Deshaun Hamilton, who lit up the NFL scouting combine. There is some turnover across the board at Penn State. Not a ton, but enough to, I think, be notable. And the reason that I put Ricky Ronnie on this list is, look, anybody can put Trace McSorley down. We know he's an important piece of that offense. Mm-hmm. But Ricky Ronnie, if he doesn't call the right plays, if he doesn't figure out a way to use Miles Sanders now in the absence of Saquon Barkley, if he calls a lot of bad screen passes, I think that was part of the problem in the bowl game.
That they won against a really good team.
That they won, sure. Mm-hmm. If he does not assemble those parts correctly, this could really come off the swivel for Penn State, because there's a lot more turnover on defense that I think we need to worry about as fans. And many of us are counting on that offense to really be the driving force behind some degree of success in the 2018 season. If Ricky Ronnie can't assemble the pieces in short order here, he will be the pivotal piece and the main reason why things don't go better in State College.
And there's other factors that I think affect that pick as well. It's a good pick. And, you know, the loss of Saquon Barkley seems like, oh, that's going to put more pressure on him. He doesn't have Saquon Barkley. It's not just the loss of a singular, unique, at times generational talent. It's the loss of the gravity. And that's an NBA term that I've only recently learned about. Even if this incredible shooter isn't making shots, the defense always has to account. What is this guy doing?
Sure.
Is he ready to do something spectacular at any moment? And the way that Joe Moorhead and that offense used Saquon Barkley last year, you know, splitting him out wide, you know, putting him in motion, moving him to the slot, whatever, there was always that gravity about him that opened things up for the offense. Now, I don't know if this is more pressure or more of a relief. Penn State has recruited super well these past couple of years. And they've recruited quite well at receiver. They have talent at running back. Obviously, since all of the issues with scholarships, the offensive line recruiting has improved, and you have that dependable, you know, more so than probably 98% of the country, signal caller in Trace McSorley. So on one end, there is more pressure because he has to keep this train going and maximize Trace McSorley, but he is working with better pieces. And obviously, Ohio State has out-recruited Penn State, but I don't know that anybody else has in that conference. So there is a certain amount of luxury that he has as a first-time offensive coordinator for Penn State. So I think it's a great pick. I think you're right. It's a pretty pivotal year for Ricky Ronnie and the Penn State offense.
Again, anybody can pick Trace McSorley. He is very much a key cog in the works, but if Ricky Ronnie can't assemble the pieces around him, that will be a bigger story. No doubt about it. He has to do, at least on some level, what Joe Moorhead did. Again, 2016, Penn State was 21st in the nation in yards per play. That improved to 14th last season under Joe Moorhead. Improved marginally, but up over 6.5 yards per play. That's a tough act to follow if you're Ricky Ronnie. I hope as a Penn State grad, I hope as a Penn State fan, he's able to have some degree of success, but it is a tough act to follow. And even though Saquon wasn't always logging 100-yard efforts, he still was a menace out there on the field to try and guard, to account for at all times.
Do you have an all-time favorite gravitational pull player? And it could be offense or defense.
Just a guy that you always need to know where he's at?
Yeah, because we've had some edge rushers. Obviously, just the threat of Ndamukong Suh in 2009. It wasn't really a gravity thing because you knew exactly where he was and what he was going to do. But I guess specifically offense or players that play in space, like Eric Berry is one of those players for me. Reggie Bush on offense.
Reggie Bush is, I think, the one that comes to mind most.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's had a couple of those guys. Man, it's such a luxury if you have that guy.
All right, so Ricky Ronnie, our first entry here in. Dan, give me the pivotal people thing.
Pivotal people.
There you go.
Number one.
In your new deep register voice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where are we going next here, Dan?
All right. You want to go? Should I choose a pivotal person?
Please do.
All right. I'm going to go outside, way outside of the Power 5 system, because in looking at, the conversation that what were we talking about last year later on in the season as it related to group of 5 schools and the playoff? It was essentially, should UCF be in this conversation?
Right.
Is what UCF is what they're doing impressive enough to warrant being ranked in the top 7, 8, 9 deep into the season in the rankings? Well, there is one school that on their schedule has Memphis, Notre Dame, Houston, and UCF. And I should mention Lehigh as well.
Wow. That's a loaded schedule.
Come on. You think you're going to take down the Mountain Hawks engine? No, absolutely not. Not without a fight. So this pivotal person is Malcolm Perry, who's going to be playing quarterback.
Navy.
We mentioned him a few weeks ago. Yes.
Navy.
For Navy. And so he shifts into a quarterback role. He played quarterback the last 3 weeks of the year last year and ran all over a couple of big schools. Had a big game against Army in the snow. Had almost 300 yards on the ground against SMU. But they moved last year's starting quarterback, Zach Abey, to receiver. And this year's Navy team, if Malcolm Perry can actually throw the ball in a forward direction, which struggled with last year, but if he is able to be at least competent, if he can complete, 50% of his passes, which I don't think is asking too much. We saw what happened, 3-4 years ago with Keenan Reynolds and what a sort of dynamic playmaker can do. I'm not saying Malcolm Perry is going to be a Heisman guy, but I'm saying with his hands on the ball, Memphis, Notre Dame, Houston, UCF, I feel like he is going to affect at least one of their season hopes and dreams. Because listen, you root for a team that plays Navy every year, and it has to be the most discomforting, few minutes before kickoff every year, because you just don't know what to expect, while at the same time knowing exactly what to expect. And so for that reason, Malcolm Perry, I think, is going to change the dynamics of this season.
And it's interesting too, because there are a lot of, I think, considerations that we both had for this 19-person list that you couldn't get past the quarterback position. There were other ones like Penn State, where if you go a little bit deeper, it, I think, is apparent that there might be a better entry here. But sure. I think you're right when it comes to Navy, just in the way that I've looked at them as, again, a fan of a team that's had to play them. It always begins and ends with the quarterback position. Navy, we assume and have assumed for a long time, they don't play defense. They want to, but because their offense will suck the life out of you, right. They're really hoping that at least on their defensive side of the ball, you're gonna be stopped a few extra times, and that's gonna be enough to give them enough breathing room on offense to run the clock out, control it for 38 minutes, and that'll be that. So I think you're right here to put Malcolm Perry on this list, and frankly, not someone else like an H-back on their offense. This is the right selection if you're going to go Navy.
Yeah, and I included Notre Dame in that because they're not a Power 5 school, at least not fully, and I don't anticipate Notre Dame being a national championship contender.
Fair,
but I certainly think, they have more wiggle room than these other schools, but those other schools, every day, every game is a will we play on New Year's or not situation.
Sure. And
Notre Dame has the wiggle room of they can lose to probably not 3, but they can lose a couple games and still make a New Year's Day game. But I am curious to see who specifically he targets with his surgical season ruining ability.
Well, let's stay there then with Notre Dame. Let's go to pivotal person number 3.
Starting out with Penn State and Notre Dame.
Let's go to number 3 here. You mentioned Navy, And again, if we want to use the example we just mentioned here, you think of Notre Dame, and I think the impulse is to go with Brandon Wimbush.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brandon Wimbush completed a shade under 50% of his passes a year ago. We've made no secret on this show of the fact that Wimbush did not get better from start to finish. It was a big source of angst for Brian Kelly, Notre Dame fans across the United States, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Wimbush is the selection here. If Wimbush plays better than he did a year ago, he could be the piece that makes Notre Dame a 10 or 11 win team.
Wow.
But
okay,
it's going to take him a little while to get to a point where we're all confident, if he does get better, where we're all confident in saying that, yes, he actually has. In the interim, until he gets there, it's going to be the defense. With like 9 starters back from a year ago, the defense is going to have to hold down the fort until the offense comes around, because let's face it, new starting running back Dexter Williams, he's had some experience at running back, and he was explosive at times a year ago, but is he going to be healthy enough? Is he going to be, frankly, good enough to be that featured back in the offense? Only time will tell. They're losing some at wide receiver. They're clearly losing some along the left-hand side of that line, with 2 of their starters being drafted in the top 10, McGlinchey and Nelson. I think it's going to come down to Clark Lee, their new defensive coordinator, who takes over for Mike Elko after he left for Texas A&M. He's going to need to hold down the fort as Notre Dame really tries to find its new way on offense here with some new faces. I think it's even more important to note that their schedule is sort of void of teams that I look at first blush and say, wow, that's going to be an offense this year.
right.
You know, I mean, Stanford could be much improved from a year ago, but I don't think anyone looks at Stanford and says that's an explosive offense.
Right.
It's just they play defense and they like to
I mean, they
run
have the
with Bryce
single
Love.
most explosive player in the country on offense, but yeah.
I don't think Stanford as a whole is defined by their offense.
Okay.
I think it's more of a defense and run it down your throat kind of squad.
That's offense.
Well, but it's
Running is offense, Ty.
Running is
I will
offense,
die
but-
on this hill.
I don't feel like they're going to score 45 points a game on them.
Fair.
All right. I think if Notre Dame plays solid defense, they give themselves a good shot, even with a mediocre offense against a team like a Stanford.
May I ask you just a quick question, both about specifically Brandon Wimbush and then big picture?
Sure.
You saw a lot of Brandon Wimbush last year. And it's always fair to say, well, you know, first year growing pains, et cetera, et cetera. But he didn't necessarily get better over the course of the season.
I didn't see any of the growing, and that's part of my problem, but continue.
Right. And so my question as it relates to him and anybody else in a similar situation is should we be making peace with what Brandon Wimbush is? And granted, again, first year quarterback, but generally you like to see a progression if you're going to ask the question, if he's good, then what is Notre Dame's ceiling? Is what we saw last year enough to make a judgment? Or do you feel like there is enough talent and work to be done over summer that he can come out looking more like Tommy Rees? Sorry, that was mean.
If you told me, and maybe this isn't a direct answer, but if you told me now that Notre Dame was going to have a different starting quarterback in 2018, I'd be perfectly fine with that, because I feel like we saw enough of Wimbush to know what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And because we didn't see any progression from start to finish, a hell of a runner, Dan. A hell of a runner. Dynamic on the ground, no doubt about it. Clearly the best runner that they've got at the quarterback position on the roster. No doubt about it. But as a passer, leaves a lot to be desired. And when the word got out that he couldn't throw and he couldn't be comfortable in that pocket, it changed the dynamic a great deal. It really, truly did. I feel like he's a known quantity at this point. We know what we're getting. I am skeptical that he's going to get a lot better between the end of last season and the start of next. If you told me now that they were going to go to like Phil Jurkovec or Ian Book, I'd be perfectly cool with that trade-off.
Okay, since sports gambling is now legal in certain states, more so than it was before, If you had to wager 20 American dollars, who is starting, aside from any injuries, who is starting against Pitt, the first game of the back half of Notre Dame's schedule?
If I'm betting money, I'm still going to go with Brandon Wimbush.
Okay. Oh, and I guess if they were going to make a change, it might be after the Pitt game because they have a bye week before Navy, and the Navy defense, I would assume, is somewhat friendly to a new quarterback.
If I were betting money, I'd go Wimbush. I still think it's Wimbush's to lose, but anyway, I don't want to bury the lead here. Clark Lee is, I think, the direction that we go with pivotal people, because Notre Dame needs that defense in any way, shape, or form, whether it's Wimbush or somebody else. The defense absolutely needs to be solid. I think it can do a lot for Notre Dame, especially given the schedule. We can argue about whether or not Stanford is defined by offense or defense, but I feel like a good defense keeps you in the game against Stanford. A good defense certainly keeps you in the game against a new-look Michigan now with presumably Shea Patterson as your quarterback. Across the board, I don't look at Notre Dame's schedule and feel like there's any team on that schedule that can blow them away with offense. So that means even more so the defense can keep them in games, even if they're not performing optimally on offense. So Clark Lee, Notre Dame defensive coordinator, everyone thinks he's a rising star. I would like to see that in practice in the 2018 season. Clark Lee, Notre Dame defensive coordinator. He is a pivotal person, 2018.
Pivotal person, number 3. Good name. Clark Lee. That's right. Leigh?
Lea.
Oh, okay. Lea.
Yeah.
You know who I'm going to go to? I'm going to go to a very familiar person. And this I didn't actually put on our shared Google document, but I have a feeling you're going to be able to make do with this. And this is a big mainstream name, even though I'm not a big, I like to be a college football hipster as often as I can be. I'm going to go with Charles Chip Kelly, Ty.
The Chipper.
Pivotal person number 4. And it's not for the reasons I think that I hope are not obvious. It's not because Chip's back and, he could make UCLA fun, blah, blah, blah. The reason I think Chip Kelly is a pretty pivotal person. Ooh, I do have foam blocking all the P's.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 has a bit of a branding issue, a bit of a reputation issue.
You don't say.
Yes, I do indeed say. And it's one of those, what was the, I've got a fever and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Yeah.
Well, the Pac-12 has a fever. And the only prescription is an actual exciting storyline that's new and fresh and that is familiar at the same time, that will make people want to, whether they're on the West Coast or the Midwest or the Southwest or the East Coast or wherever, the South, that they will pay attention to the Pac-12 more than they have in years past, and perhaps get good games in front of the most anticipating audience. But in any case, it doesn't really matter if Washington's really good again. I don't even feel like it matters all that much if Oregon's all that good this year, because they don't really play anybody early on, so there is no real early season excitement to generate buzz around Oregon. Their non-conference schedule's particularly bad. Cal, I don't believe in as a huge improvement team. I don't even really believe in UCLA as a huge improvement team. But if they're feisty, Ty, if they do something early on, if they catch Oklahoma looking back at the FAU game, if that's like a crazy triple overtime game, which I don't necessarily believe will be, but even if Khalil Tate is once again total magic with the ball in his hand, didn't seem to matter last year all that much. If USC's awesome, it's fine. It's expected. They have struggled to perform on the national stage. So there's going to be a lot of, but what will they do against a top team? But Ty, if UCLA, and I imagine UCLA is going to be well prepared for all of their games. They might be out talented. I don't think they're going to be out schemed. If UCLA is enjoyable to watch and they can knock a couple of teams off by really good coaching and just good situational execution, whatever, I think the Pac-12 becomes, and I already saw the schedule. This part of the schedule is out. UCLA opens the season at 7 p.m. on ESPN, 7 p.m. Eastern, and that's against Cincinnati.
Okay.
I could not imagine in previous years UCLA Cincinnati getting regular ESPN at 7 p.m. on opening Saturday night.
Right.
So there's already attention and buzz around Chip Kelly's arrival, and so they are in a position to maximize that.
All right, so let me present a counterpoint because I
Please.
also considered Charles Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Is the prescription that can cure the Pac-12's fever really more offense with Chip Kelly, more excitement with Chip Kelly, or is it more defense across the board? Something that Charles Chip Kelly doesn't quite have a reputation for building.
Are we going to do Charles Chip Kelly all year?
We might. I mean, we could.
I'm okay with it. We should just make that decision now in mid-June.
I'm okay with sticking with it for now.
Okay. Maybe it's just an off-season thing.
Is Charles Chip Kelly truly
Mm-hmm.
what the conference needs because he brings excitement, or will the conference benefit more from better defense across the board and then presumably better bowl performance that follows?
No, I think the best thing the Pac-12 can do is produce the best possible TV show every week.
Okay.
And I think exciting Chip Kelly offenses, because I really don't. When people watched and enjoyed Oregon before elsewhere, and these are not my words. These are what college football fans have told me, that there was just something fun about watching Oregon. It's the style of offense, the uniforms, whatever.
Yeah.
And they happened to be really good, and they won a lot of games, so that made it even more fun. And I think UCLA eventually will win a bunch of games if sort of the optimism is correct. But right now, in the short term this year, if Charles Chip Kelly, can make UCLA good TV, that I think will be a huge boost to the Pac-12.
All right. Well, I am quite excited to watch Wilton Speight potentially run an oop-de-oop offense. Finesse offense, Dan.
There was so many things wrong with that sentence, Ty. So many things wrong.
Let's move on. Let's stay actually in the
have?
Pac-12 here. I want to go up to Washington, Dan.
Great salmon.
Presumably the favorite to win Pac-12 this year?
I would say so.
Yeah, a lot of guys back. Jake Browning, Myles Gaskin back for, I believe, year 8 for both of them now.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the wide receiver position. 2 years ago, Jake Browning threw 43 touchdown passes, most of which went to John Ross. John Ross now playing in the NFL. But after John Ross left, he still had a reliable target in Dante Pettis, but now Dante Pettis is gone as well. He's gone to the NFL.
Yep.
Jake Browning threw 24 fewer touchdown passes in 2017 than he did 2016, just by virtue of losing John Ross. Now Pettis is gone. If there isn't somebody who can step up at the wide receiver position, that could mean, I think, a great deal of unbalance in that offense, in the force that is the Washington Huskies offense. So I ask you, Dan, if Chico McClatcher, did I say that right?
All-time great name. Top 20 name in college football this year.
If Chico ain't there to be that force in the wide receiving core, who's it going to be?
It's a good question. I like their tight end a lot, but no. Downfield, that is an unanswerable question right now.
Chico McClatcher, Dan, is a pivotal person, a pivotal player.
Pivotal player.
In the 2018 season. He needs targets in the passing game. He needs to help balance that offense with what I'd imagine would be a Myles Gaskin heavy scheme, at least at the start of the 2018 season. He went down with a broken ankle at the start of last year. He's a smaller guy, only about 5'8", but he is, to your point, a legit downfield big play guy who can stretch defenses vertically. He needs to perform at a high level. If not him, then I don't know who. At a minimum, Chico McClatcher is a big cog in the works there for that Washington offense. I think he is a pivotal player.
Big cog, and I was very careful saying that. Smaller dude. And there isn't really a proven literal big receiver. Dante Pettis wasn't big either, and I think that's sort of the problem. There isn't that big body. And we saw a little bit of that against Alabama. This is something we've talked about in the past, that one of the things that teams who are able to hang with and move the ball through the air against Alabama all have in common is that bigger receiver, effective tight end down the field, hybrid sort of guy. And Washington has a lot of interesting talent defensively. I think they're going to be probably one of the best 5 or 6 defenses in the country. offensively, they have weapons. I like I think it's pronounced Salvin Ahmed, their all-purpose type weapon behind Myles Gaskin, but they're on the field at the same time sometimes. I'm curious about, and I think Chico McClatcher is the right pick here because he does have a lot of experience. I'm curious about what this offense looks like, where you don't have a lot of big, proven downfield threats
really
for an experienced quarterback, but a lot of misdirection, a lot of end around type stuff, option type stuff. Not Jake Browning that's not what he does, but he's mobile. I'm curious to see how they are able to scheme around their limitations and turn them into strengths.
Well, it may not be what Jake Browning does, but hell, we know it's what Chris Peterson does or what he has done at his previous stop at Boise State.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to the creativity.
All right, so Chico McClatcher is our pivotal person on this list. We've done 2 in a row now from the Pac-12, Dan.
Yeah, let's move elsewhere.
Let's go to a different conference. Where do you want to go?
I'm going to go to the Southeastern Conference, if I may.
Ooh.
I'm going to select an offensive mind that isn't necessarily on the proven level of Charles Chip Kelly.
Wow. It's hard to believe you could find someone, but...
Hard to believe. Derek Dooley.
Whoa, you're going with a very strong head of hair there, if I don't say so.
I am going with a strong head of hair.
Very strong black head of Bob Diaco hair.
Yes. A lot of black Bob Diaco hair and a lot of strong shower opinions, if my memory serves.
Yeah.
While at Tennessee. So he's the new offensive coordinator at Mizzou. This was an offense that was arguably, and they didn't have the strongest SEC schedule last year playing in the East, but it was arguably the best or second best offense behind Georgia's last year because of how strong and how well Drew Lock came on the second half of the year. They had a great receiver in Jamon Moore. It was really fun to watch in November and really seemed to turn a corner after starting out so horrendously. But with Josh Heupel moving on to UCF, and by all indications and reports, they had the opportunity to hire and interview guys with more of a track record, let's say, at offensive coordinator, college, pro, whatever, than Derek Dooley, who has most recently been fired by Tennessee and coached receivers in Dallas for the Cowboys.
Right.
He was let go, not retained in Dallas. And I don't know if it's he's familiar with the SEC. He has head coaching experience. He's another experienced mind in the office. But Barry Odom hired Derek Dooley to take his potential first-round quarterback to the next level and either help or really hurt Barry Odom's own situation in Columbia. I don't know if it's going to go all that well. There is talent on offense. They have a couple of nice running backs. They bring back experienced receivers, not the top guys. But I think it's going to be interesting, not just for Mizzou reasons, but sort of in the way that we talked about Malcolm Perry. They have Georgia, and I think they go to Alabama the first half of the season. So you'll get sort of a good sense of whether or not they're competitive. And they did score some points against Georgia last year, but we'll get a sense of their competitive nature, whatever. But in the second half of the season, when I think it's more fair to judge new coaches, and this isn't about Dooley, they have Florida and Tennessee both on the road.
Okay.
So in a strange way, Mizzou sort of as a probably decent team, they become an interesting bellwether for Jeremy Pruitt and Dan Mullen late in the season at home. And those are two teams that are certainly more talented than Mizzou at this point to see where they stand. So curious about it on two levels.
Well, a bright-minded head coach will hire assistants that fill in his own deficiencies.
Sure.
And Barry Odom may be looking at that Bob Diaco man hair and saying, this is something I need in my arsenal. I don't know if you've looked at Barry Odom's hair, but just throwing it out there. I looked at Mizzou, and I was considering Drew Lock because Drew Lock came on like a freight train last year. The offense really as a whole did. And of course, they lose their offensive coordinator now to UCF. I'm very curious in this selection. I, too, feel like Dooley is the right name to put on this list because his hiring was a bit confounding. It really, truly was. And we can question the logic behind it. if Drew Lock comes out there and isn't able to ignite the offense the way he did a year ago, my guess is that we'll be hearing a lot about Derek Dooley in a negative context all throughout the 2018 season.
It has some Brady Hoke to it.
It really does.
I don't think Barry Odom, by the end of last year, with how he turned things around, at least before the bowl game, I don't think he was in that same precarious situation as Mark Helfrich was. But the idea of bringing on a failed coach to coach a very specific thing that he didn't really have any recent experience doing, that's worrisome to me and almost makes me think Barry Odom. Do you think Barry Odom saw Derek Dooley and just assumed he was Mike Shanahan? Do you think? And like they just have this unspoken thing where Derek Dooley is like, yeah, he wants to hire me, Derek Dooley. And Barry Odom's like, I can't believe we got Mike Shanahan.
Say Vince Dooley?
Vince Dooley. Well, I mean, Mike Shanahan at least looks like Derek Dooley.
Oh,
am I wrong? Do they have at least, could they be cousins of some kind?
They have the same shaped head, I'd say.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Speaking of the Dooleys, can I go to the state of Georgia here for a second?
Please. It's going to be warm, but yes.
For our next selection here. So I think
Pivotal
we're both content going Derek Dooley.
Oh, yeah.
Missouri offensive coordinator. On the topic of Dooleys, let's go to Georgia. And obviously Georgia, you could go a variety of different directions for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Fromm is a very interesting name here. If only because he led the Georgia Bulldogs to the national championship game as a true freshman.
Yeah.
I think Kirby Smart's offense, if we know anything about what he's built in the early going at Georgia, runs through the running back position.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it last year with Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, clearly a dynamic duo at the running back position. And then as the year wore on, we saw a little bit more of DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, from my neck of the woods up here in Pennsylvania, had 618 yards, but more importantly, 7.6 per carry, and really started to be a name that we talk more about in big game situations. It's just sort of a change of pace back. Not a big guy.
Right. Solid. I think he's like 5'10", 215. Like he is compact, but I think sturdy.
Plays bigger than his size might indicate. The heart of that Georgia campaign was really through the running game. And I think now DeAndre Swift needs to step up and be that guy. They got some guys behind him who clearly we're going to see more of as the year progresses. But at least to start, if Georgia wants to pick up where it left off a year ago, it's going to be on the shoulders of DeAndre Swift. And let's be honest, it's a tough act to follow. It's a tough schedule to be a running back in, just because SEC defenses are bigger, are stronger, particularly along that defensive line. He's got his work cut out for him, Dan. And if Georgia can't be effective on the ground, it puts more pressure on Fromm. It puts more pressure on just that team as a whole. So DeAndre Swift, running back Georgia, is a pivotal person. He needs to step up. He needs to assume the mantle that was left, I guess, in the wake of Nick Chubb and Sony Michel.
Pivotal person. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. There is, as you mentioned, talent behind him. They recruited 2 blue chip running backs this past year, including Zamir White, who I think was the number 1 running back.
Yeah.
Oh, Zamir White is a good name. And hopefully he has good knee tendons because he tore his ACL in December, I want to say. But he is rehabbing, and if he's healthy, I assume he'll play some, especially with the new redshirt rule, but I don't think they're in any sort of hurry to put his knee in jeopardy. They have Elijah Holyfield, Dalvin Cook's little brother, James Cook. And the good news about this offense in general is I can't see a situation in which they are leaning on DeAndre Swift the way they leaned on Nick Chubb early on in his career, whether it was because of Sony Michel's injuries or whatever. I think they're going to spread the ball around, and the return of McCole Hardeman and Terry Godwin, and I think it's fair to assume Jake Fromm will have more of the offense at his disposal, and we'll just have a better command where they won't have to necessarily gut it out on the ground more often than not. That Jake Fromm will be trusted. Maybe Justin Fields is used situationally. There is room for more creativity now in year 2 of the Fromm era. So
I do agree with that 100%. My only point, though, I think we know that Kirby Smart wants to run an Alabama-style offense. I think we know that about him at this point. And
I don't even know what that means in 2018.
Well, it's more of a pro style, more of a balanced offense, let's say, than some other schools around the country. And in order to do that, you need to be effective on the ground. So I think if DeAndre Swift can't be effective, he will be pivotal in that the offense, the balance of that offense now shifts more towards a passing game. And I was encouraged by what we saw out of Jake Fromm in the national championship. He clearly made all the throws. And certainly down the stretch, he was very effective. But I know if I were a Georgia fan, I'd feel much better about what they can do, knowing that DeAndre Swift is a productive member of that team.
Oh, his first step is electric. That such to the point, come on, Dan, speak English, to the point where you have to worry about him on every play if you're a defense, because he turns 4 into 17 pretty easily and has the potential, especially if defenses are on their heels, to be pretty special. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do 2 more here on our Pivotal People Part 1 show on this the Solid Verbal College Football Podcast, solidverbal@gmail.com if you want to weigh in. Let us know what's on your mind, Dan. I did DeAndre Swift in the state of Georgia. Where do you want to go next?
To whoever, my next pivotal person, is whoever edited that Obama video for Mike Leach to watch. That is my next pivotal person, because that, let's go with P's, potentially could put that Pullman coach to, I don't know.
In peril.
In peril. I'm going to go with an actual pick for a pivotal person. Let's go to... I'm going to go back west. And because you started with your alma mater, we're going to finish with my alma mater. I brought them up briefly. But this is somebody that I have... Concern is the wrong word. I am shruggy-faced about Marcus Arroyo, the new Oregon offensive coordinator. So you went with the offensive coordinator at your alma mater. I'm doing the same thing. It's our show. We can do what we want. We already have your download.
Marcus Arroyo.
Marcus Arroyo. Yes.
Okay. What is your concern here about Marcus Arroyo?
So my concern about Arroyo is Oregon is shifting offensive philosophies. To what degree, I don't know. But in the way Mario Cristobal has talked about it, he wants, he's recruiting bigger offensive linemen. He wants more of that ground and pound rather than that hurry up, Chip Kelly, no huddle, speed. I think Oregon is going for more power. Not that old offensive lines were not, bulldozers in their own specific ways, but the scheme with an experienced and talented quarterback without, I think, a lot of talent at receiver or tight end, some, but nothing close to where it was in like 2012, 2011, and a defense that's improving. But Marcus Arroyo as a play caller, if you remember, Willie Taggart called plays last year. If you remember the year before that, it was a different offensive coordinator. It was the Mark Helfrich era. I am not convinced that Marcus Arroyo has I don't know how to phrase this, Ty. I'm not convinced of what to expect from Marcus Arroyo in this Oregon team. And that worries me, because since 2009 or really 2007, when Chip Kelly took over as coordinator, you had a sense for identity. You had a sense of what to expect. And each year, each quarterback was better than the last. And now there's just this enormous question about what this offense actually looks like with a coach that hopefully stays for longer than 1 year.
Right.
So my curiosity is pretty high. If there's any question to me, like I think Oregon's pretty well defined at this point. They're not as talented as they need to be if they're going to compete for the conference. But offensively, scheme-wise, the only real reference point we have with Arroyo is the bowl game, which was like a day after Cristobal was hired full-time as the head coach, and the spring game. And they're just, his career is a lot of position coach stuff, a little bit of NFL quarterback. He worked with Jared Goff, so that's at least a good sign. But in terms of what a Marcus Arroyo offense will look like, it's a blank slate. There's nothing to say expect X, Y, and Z because of these 3 reasons. So who knows?
What is your level of comfort with where Oregon is at now entering the 2018 season? Just overall.
I think that their record will be better than they actually are, which is not something we say a lot, but their schedule sucks in that they don't really play anybody good. It's a nice schedule. Everything sort of sets up ideally, given the road home splits, given the non-conference schedule. Offensively, Royce Freeman's going to be a big hole to fill. The offensive line should be very good. Skill positions, not exactly where they've been these past few years. And defensively, I like them a lot. They're going to be young. They're going to play a lot of young guys, especially in the secondary, freshmen and sophomores. But I'm confident, given the current slate of quarterbacks in the Pac-12, that they will be a top 45 defense, top 40 defense in the country.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I said 2 more items. I guess we could list a Solid Verbal podcast on here if we really wanted to be self-congratulatory.
Pivotal people from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, email us, solidverbal@gmail.com. I think that does it for today. I think our lips are parched enough. I need to make sure that we preserve your voice.
True.
So that we could do this again. But just to recap here in no particular order, Charles Chip Kelly, Clark Lee, Derek Dooley, Marcus Arroyo, Ricky Ronnie, Malcolm Perry, DeAndre Swift, and Chico McClatcher. We've got a list of about 10 others that we're going to unveil next week. We're doing pivotal people, pivotal players, pivotal personas here on the Solid Verbal. Again, just talking about the 2018 season and some of the key players here in what we think is going to be a really fun season with a lot of cool storylines. If you've got any others that you would like to add, you can find us again at solidverbal@gmail.com. Also on our website at solidverbal.com. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've got a YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We're on TuneIn. And, of course, Google Play Podcasts, which now has an app, as well as Apple Podcasts. So anywhere fine podcasts can be found, you can find the Solid Verbal. Dan, what else do I need to make sure I check off here before we let the fine people go? Anything?
If today's is the original, if this is the first part of Pivotal People, a lot of sequels have something in the name that set them apart from the original.
Okay.
And that's a colon. So like Jurassic Park, The Lost World.
Right.
So what if you could choose, because we're in the business of hyping, of promoting, we want people to download next week's to see who we're going to name in part 2. Give me a Pivotal People, your move. What Ghost Protocol?
Well, no, that's a good one. We're also in the business of offering a tease, because any true showman knows how to tease what's coming next. So I would just leave people with this. If this was Pivotal People Part 1, next week's will be Pivotal People, Protecting Patterson.
Oh, okay. I was going to go Pivotal People, Persons of Interest.
I'm going to go a little bit more specific and go.
Well, you went alliterative with your pop filter, and I respect that.
Protecting Patterson, Dan. I'm not afraid of my pops.
Patterson.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's just leave it at that. Draw your own conclusions. Again, tell your friends about the show. We'll be here all off season. We got much to break over the next days and weeks about our live show and merchandise and website. Whole bunch of fun stuff on the way. Thank you for listening to the show. We will catch you all in a week. In the meantime, for myself, Ty Hildebrand, and that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, as always, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and stay solid.
Peace.